If you ever came up to me to help you purchase this property, the number one thing I would ask you is a medical note from your doctor to just make sure you're mentally all there. And to further deter you from making this stupid decision, I will require you to pass a physical examination by myself. If that doesn't stop you and you've already lost all your freaking marbles, this is how I would help you to purchase this property. Let's get started.
Welcome to Chateau du Champ de Bataille. So welcome to one of the most expensive homes in the entire world. We're here in Normandy, France, where behind me, that's right, that is one of the most expensive homes ever in the world. And in this episode, we're getting a tour of the house, the property, the whole thing. This is the largest private garden in all of Europe, and it's actually so big that we need a golf cart to tour the space. Bonjour.
Bonjour, Eric.
This is Zachary with Barnes International, and he will be touring us around the grounds.
Bonjour à tous. Welcome, everyone.
All right. Let's roll.
Let's go.
So the estate encompasses over 300 acres of land, consisting of 6 main structures on the property that we'll be touring. The Grotto and the Indian Palace. We've got
Okay, let's stop it right there. If you're planning to purchase this property, you should know what is the best use of this land. When we go outside condos, single family homes, or even mansions, properties of this magnitude with this much land, they have a best use. There is something you can do with this property that would actually be the best use of space. They call it best use. And for this property, for you to at least maybe recuperate some of your investment in purchasing it, and to make sure you at least can pay the maintenance costs for the property, I'm going to propose a few options for you. And the first one is the most pragmatic one. It's not going to be popular in the comments, but I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to make sure you don't lose a lot of money purchasing property. I'm Arvin Haddad. I'm the How to Buy a Mansion guy. I've critiqued over 1,000 mansions. It's what I do. Now, for this property, the most pragmatic option is subdividing this land. You have 300 acres. You can take half of that. You can keep the palaces, but some of these gardens that are not significant, you could subdivide them to half-acre lots, create a short list of architects and sell the lots and recuperate some of your money, lower your maintenance costs on the garden part to at least be able to maintain a property. Because I can tell you, this is going to be astronomical to carry. And now there's France and, their wealth tax that they tax you every year a percentage of your net worth. I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't think you're going to move to Normandy, France. It's beautiful. I've been to Carnac, but I don't think you would buy this for your primary residence. It's more like a showpiece trophy property to park your money in case the Fed comes after you. You preserve the wealth.
got the main chateau and the gardens, then the Greek theater and the greenhouse. We're actually staying overnight here at the chateau, but more on that later. Now, before we immerse ourselves into this world of unfathomable wealth and reveal the price tag of this listing, we need to understand the history. Chateau du Champ de Bataille, or the Battlefield Castle, was built in 1652 by royal architect Louis Laveau, who takes his place in the history books for designing the Palace of Versailles, where the royal French family lived a mere 20 years after this. This chateau is actually the prototype inspiration for Versailles. Famous French gardener André Lenotre, who created the Gardens of Versailles, also designed the gardens here at this chateau. So this is a piece of living history. Now, during the French Revolution, the chateau was stormed and the furniture was sold throughout France. The home then passed through various owners over the years, even serving as a field hospital during World War II. Then in 1992, the current owner, Jacques Garcia, world-famous French...
This Jacques Garcia guy, you're going to understand that he is out of his mind by the end of this video. He's out there.
Architect and designer purchased the rundown chateau and has since dedicated the last 30 years of his life restoring this palace to its former glory, and more importantly, filling this chateau with priceless art belonging directly to the French royal family. Everything in here is authentic. For example, these 4 vases here were gifted to Napoleon by the King of Sweden, and they're here in this house. This is an actual human body mummified from Egypt in this house in France.
Dude, That's a human being. What the hell are you doing? What is this? Like for Halloween, you're going to bring him in the front yard and, show it off? That's disrespectful. That's a human remain. You can't have it as a decor piece in your house. It's like throwing a, surprise birthday party for your kids in the cemetery. It's the same thing. This is wrong. What is going on?
That is wild. It's rumored that Garcia purchases a piece of new art every day. Now, the actual price value of this home, it's nearly impossible to put a number on. But recently, an undisclosed private offer in the multiple 10-figure range was made to purchase the home, and it was declined by Jacques.
Bullshit. I call bullshit. I've heard that trick before. Let me teach you guys a few things about the ultra high end. When someone really can't sell something, they would say, I've turned down a crazy offer already. I've heard it many, many times from mostly owners of properties that are pretty much unsellable. And it's a really, really interesting little mind game. You're throwing out a number. You know the house is not worth anything because it's just unpurchasable. It's like this, who's going to come buy this? And if you're crazy enough to think that you want to buy this, the first thing you should know that you're the only person who actually is thinking about buying this. And there's no one else bidding, okay? So by throwing that 10-digit, 1 billion to 9 billion, whatever this number could be, you're really setting up the price. And then now you have to come convince me that I should sell it for $1.1 billion because I've already turned down $1 billion. Your brother's not going to fall for that.
It's his dream that the doors of the chateau be open to the world, ensuring that future generations can experience the magic and the mystery of this royal French treasure. And I'm working with Barnes International to market this home for rent.
Wait a minute. So you don't want to sell it and you want to rent it. Okay, because you want to share this cultural experience with everybody. Okay, let's keep that in mind.
So if you're looking to rent out this chateau, please contact me via email in the description of this video. And with that, we're starting our tour here in the formal gardens, which are absolutely colossal.
Okay, let's look at this for the first option. Look, you could keep the Indian Palace. You can keep this part. You can subdivide some of these lands and sell them. The second option could be you create a really high-end gated community, subdividing the land to maybe 100 different parcels and with a very architectural, strict coding for single-family homes, approved architect. You sell those and the main structures would stay as the community building, the HOA building, shall we say, right? And everyone shares the maintenance costs of the whole chateau. Now, it's a very lofty idea. And again, it requires a lot of marketing, but it is an option, right? And that's why I'm throwing it out there. Pragmatic option, but it's an option.
So we're now at the center of the property.
Yeah.
What's the significance about this behind me?
So the exact place where we are now, it's the perfect middle of the castle. That means there is 500 meters on that part and 500 also on this one.
So back in 1992, all of what we're looking at right now was just an overgrown field lost to time, until Jacques found the original garden design plans in the chateau. He then excavated and recreated these gardens exactly how they would have been almost 400 years ago. First, he dug a 550-meter-long canal, which is definitely a defining feature of the property, to feed the vast network of elaborate fountains and water features, such as this circular entrance fountain.
Wait a minute. How is this owner architect has this much wealth? I'm sorry, but architects don't make that much money. Even the most successful ones, Zaha Hadid, they didn't have enough money to buy a mansion this big, and they didn't have enough money to renovate and restore and fill art in it. So I don't know if this Jacques Chirac or whatever, Gonzalez, is a front or he's the real owner of the property. It's a little sus.
With these gilded statues of dolphins emerging from the sea, surrounding an ornate globe rising in the center. Even where we're standing right now at the center of the property, you've got these wild clawfoot soaking tubs overflowing with water.
And the cost to turn on these fountains is apparently 20,000 euro just to turn on.
What is it, powered by a nuclear reactor? Why is it $25,000? You just turn on the knob. There's some pumps. It's probably using gravity. The water is coming down. It already has some inertia. $25,000.
And run the fountains here. So you could have a jet ski in here. That's how large this is.
It takes a full-time staff of 15 of the best gardeners in all of Europe to maintain and create these elaborate garden designs, consisting of stunning geometrical patterns and even human-sized hedge mazes throughout the property.
On the side of the castle, we have a lawn with chess pieces that are probably 8-9 foot tall here. And look how perfect these are.
Wow, that wiggled a little funny, didn't it?
I'm in shock that they can actually do this. The role of the gardener here at the chateau is, I'd say, the most important role because of how much acreage we have.
And one of the most intricate and prominent design features in the gardens are the symmetrical lattice design box gardens leading up to the front patio of the chateau. Now, the garden is based on the principle of imposing order and symmetry over the land.
And back in the 17th century, the number one way a king could show his flex and his power over the land was symmetry, controlling nature. So if you notice, all the hedges are squares, because you don't find a square like that in nature. And I think that is just fascinating that they had the ability to do that way back then and that it's been preserved today with this.
That's insane. I mean, you don't need much technology. You just need scissors to cut it out to that shape. But that's pretty egomaniac. Like, I want to control nature. What do the billionaires do nowadays when they want to show their power? They just buy, New York Times or Wall Street Journal. They just buy, Twitter. That's what they do. But back then, they just had to force the nature to obey their will.
It's kind of mind-boggling. I also noticed the hedges are cut in the shape of a wave, which are at least 30 feet high. I think the biggest thing I want to drive home is the scale of this place and how you really need a person walking through the gardens to show the whole 45 acres.
Wow. It's huge. Wait a minute. 45 hectares is not... Okay, each hectare is 2.47 acres. So he first said 300 acres, which would be 121 hectares. Now he's saying 45 hectares. What the hell? Which one is it, Eric? I don't know. With the 45 hectares, that's like, what, times 2.5 is like 120 acres. That's a big difference. My whole option A could go out of the window. You might not have enough land to subdivide.
Like, this is... I've never seen a house like this, ever. There's also a theater here.
Inspired by a Greek temple, because during the 17th century, in Europe, the archaeologists, they just discovered all the Greek temple and everything, so that they were trying to reproduce it in all the biggest home, like this castle, for example.
Wait a minute. You have to sit on the bush? There's no, those are like bushes. You can't sit down. So it's not really practical. It's just for looking out. You can't really have a show.
There is an Indian temple?
Indian palace, palais in French.
Essentially, Jacques brought in, I believe it was 5 containers?
600.
600 containers of actual materials from India to build this palace.
In 1992.
In 1992. Apparently he has parties where he brings in elephants, lions, tigers, and bears.
And the only way to go from here to the Indian Palais is this boat.
I mean, you could walk around, but we're going to take the boat. So this is the Indian Palais.
Yeah, the Indian Palais, and all of what you see here is...
Guys, this is really a magnificent state. Like, all jokes aside, again, I do not think you should really desire this. I think back in the day, labor cost was so cheap, they would be your servant. Like, you really need to be a dictator to exert your will on the people in such a messed up way. because I don't care how rich you are, just maintaining such a palace is so expensive. But when I look at it as a real estate angle, this is the epitome and the pinnacle of ultra royal wealth, to have this much land, this much really building that are toys, they're just for your amusement on such a scale. It's not our times. This is historically speaking from many, 400, 500 years ago, but it's just fascinating that the pinnacle has actually dropped, right? 400 or 500 years ago, they were doing it at this level. Now the pinnacle is like the one, or the penthouse at 220 Central Park, in New York. So they knew more about real estate back then, and the palaces and everything was way more audacious and just awe-inspiring, especially comparing the wealth gap between the royals and the peasants. So it was probably even a bigger gap back then.
Really, from India, it's not a replica. Jacques Garcia, the owner, he brought all of this by shipping containers.
I'm at a loss for words for how large the scale of his thinking is. The fact that, it looks like we walked into India. It looks like we are in India right now. So there's a house in the Indian palace, right?
Jacques, when he come here, he's living there.
So welcome to the living room of the Indian Palais, and just take a look around. It's one thing to hear 500 shipping containers, but to see all of the artifacts, come look at this. Look at this leopard. Look at this thing. I don't really have words for this, also because we don't know the value of everything. I want to mention that.
All right, here's the best second use. Now, this to me is perhaps the best use for this property if you were wanting to purchase it. And it requires a couple prerequisites, because you really need to be in this industry to be able to really take use of it. But this property would make a fantastic movie location. You have acres of land, you have main structures with very different themes. You could pretty much shoot any Bollywood movie over here, and that's a huge industry of its own. And trust me, they will love to shoot a movie in something like this. And also, all the other structures. You could perhaps shoot 4 different movies and TV shows and different events at the same time, and have multiple sources of income. But to start that off, you need to hire a group of people who are very tied into the industry, talent agents, movie location specialists, and really bring that in. If they had already established that and you could purchase it with already having an income of that sort, would have been way better. But starting off scratch and building that business will probably take years before it goes to kind of a full production where you start breaking even or making money on the, maintenance costs and the property taxes and everything of this property.
In the price point of this chateau, I believe we were told there's $1 million worth of art alone.
So wait a minute, is it for sale or not? It's a price point? What's going on? So again, see, I'm telling you, it's kind of for sale, but you have to go ask them and beg them to have it.
Chateau. And you can see just from around me, we have, look at this chair. I don't want to touch anything either. Hookah lounge. Oh my gosh. What? You know that's real too. There's no way that's fake. What's the most impressive is a lot of times I see homes where people have a theme and it's replications or knockoffs. Yeah. But the fact that this is all legitimate historical antiques is just, man, it's beyond my pay grade. I don't even know what to say about this. Just look at all these artifacts.
Have you already seen a property like this before?
Not as historically, but definitely where there's themed rooms, but nothing like this.
Yeah, it's the most expensive home in the world, but I think this is priceless.
Right. It's hard to put a value on everything we've seen. So check out this hallway. Apparently now we're going to the indoor swimming pool in the Indian Palais. Oh, whoa, look at this. Holy crap. I'm gonna go up here. This is a library built into this hallway. Blake, actually, you wanna check this out up here? These books are so old, I'm not gonna touch a single thing. This is also the kind of home where you could spend at least a week here, minimum. and still not explore everything. Like, what is that iron door? Where does that go? I smell chlorine, so I guess we're getting close.
Yes. Le classique, le moderne.
Oh my gosh. Look at this.
Much. Indoor swimming pool.
Pretty cool. I mean, it looks legit from India. Again, I think you can shoot so many different movies, different scenes. There's so much opportunity here. It looks like a cool place to hang out. I mean, it's got that, Guti Puti vibe.
Ooh. Apparently you can walk around and check out the back of the pool. Like, if you wanted to come here and dive in, there's a hallway that goes around the entire pool. We're now checking out some of the bedrooms. Apparently there's 10 bedrooms in the Indian palace. Just look at this, like, what the hell? Zachary went back this way. We're gonna find him now. Like, look at the tapestries here. Another little library sitting area. More tapestries and a never-ending hallway. At the end of the hall, this is one of the bedrooms, one of 10. Again, everything imported in from India. It's all historic. And look at this bathroom. Divided by this solid stone soaking tub here in the middle.
Dude, I don't know if I actually would want to stay here. This is pretty creepy. I mean, what is this? A freaking hyena's head above your bed? It's a little hardcore. Yeah, maybe your guests. I don't know. I don't know if I would actually stay here for a couple nights. Okay, I can appreciate the details are insane and it's historic and everything is old. But how would you you should ask to sleep there for at least 4 or 5 nights or a week before you purchase it to make sure you're okay, because I don't know. It's a little bit too much. Another option that comes to my mind, if you want to purchase this property, give it to the country or the city as a tax donation, tax write-off, and a gift, and a charitable gift could be a good option. Let's say you sold your company for $20 billion, you have a big tax liability comes in, and then donate it to the French government or a museum or Louvre, and get the tax write-off, and you've done something nice, because they've put a lot of time in putting this property together, and it would be kind of a shame to option A plays out and it would be kind of closed off for people to see this. So I think that's another option: tax write-off, charitable donation.
I am having a hard time fathoming how someone over the course of 30 years brought all this here and planned all this out. Also, I'm afraid to bump into anything by accident, just because, like we mentioned, the price dollars, but it could be more than that, just because all the art hasn't really been evaluated. And now we're gonna go check out, well, wait till you see this. So I was told that this is the swimming pool. The swimming pool is 100 meters long, so that is 2 Olympic-length swimming pools. I'm truly speechless. You could have a jet ski in here. That's how large this is.
What's his obsession with jet skis? Okay, yeah, that would, not be a great idea. But again, I'm getting Hertz Castle vibe. Like, Hertz family built this mega mansion. I've been there, I've seen it. And there's 200 rooms in there. Every room is a different theme. And they donated it, turned into a museum. They charge money, people walking in, and they pay, and it maintains it, and maybe makes a little money for the foundation or the charitable trust. Great option. That's your option B. First one was subdivide, sell. Second option was a movie location where you can film many, many different movies in different buildings. And the third option is a charitable donation to a museum that they could preserve the place and actually makes a little bit of money and share it with the public.
And we haven't even seen the main chateau yet. This is just one palace on the land. Right across from the Indian Palais is the Grotto. Now, in 2020, during the pandemic, the owner got bored. And while all of us were in our homes, quarantining, watching the news, he built a grotto with a waterfall cascading down volcanic lava rock, which leads down into... Our guide actually took us down here last night. Check this out at nighttime.
All right. We've been kidnapped.
This is Ghost Hunters.
Oh. Guys, we're going into the grotto. We're staying overnight in the castle.
We're ready.
Flashlights off.
There's actually good lights here.
Yeah.
Now it's turning into a
What?
YouTube tour of
The hell?
Yeah. Keep it rolling. I mean, look at the rock. Look at this. Crazy.
So when do we get sacrificed?
During COVID, he was like bored and he didn't know what to do. And so that idea came up
He made
of
a grotto.
making this place, yeah.
You did that too during COVID, right?
Oh yeah.
In the daytime, it's a bit different. So you head on down into this. I don't even know what you would call this.
Dude, what did you guys do during COVID? This guy just busted out like eyes wide shut, Freemason, satanic, freaking ceremonial place. This is insane. But again, I am doubling down on the movie location. You could shoot 20 different genres of movies in this location.
To this temple-like grotto. I mean, the ceilings in here are at least 50 feet. It has a dead center circle in the middle, and all around me are the statues of Greek gods with mirrors behind them, all petrified wood here, lining the columns, supporting the structure, with again that volcanic stone built in around the statues here. The outside of the structure is meant to mimic a volcano, and then you have waterfalls entering through all the sides here, flowing down the stairs, leading into the center basin here where you have the circular stage. And even if you look up, look at all the carvings of the faces along the ceiling. I was told that the owner has some pretty crazy parties in here. Comment down below.
I'm telling you, dude, this is Freemason. This is creepy shit happens over here. See, you on your own. I'm not helping you with this anymore. This is a red flag.
What you think they use this room for. So this is the final structure on the 45 acres of gardens that we've toured so far. We haven't even seen the castle. We're about to enter what they call the greenhouse. I haven't seen it yet, so we're gonna get my reactions. Apparently this is the spot, so here we go. Oh my God. So this is the room off of the entrance where we have all these blue vases and just more art. More art from all around the world here. Again, worth over $1 million. And now the main event. When they said it was a greenhouse, I didn't think it would be this. There's a floating bridge with waterfalls on either side with tropical plants everywhere. What's the...
Dude, movie location, I'm telling you. Lost Ark, Indiana Jones. This is where you can shoot the next 20 episodes or seasons of it.
This is insane. This is crazy. The trees are growing out of the stonework. There's sculptures everywhere. There's trees growing out of the floor with holes cut in the carpet here with this statue of, I don't even know what, but holy crap.
Okay, this is my vibe. If I was going to stay here, I would just, set up a tent in this room. The other ones seem too creepy. I can chill here. This is my vibe.
This is just ridiculous. And apparently, I was told that the piano right behind me here, this is Steinway's piano. So you know Steinway and Sons? This is not the Sons, this is his original piano. Wow.
Then why does it say son on it? If it was pre the son, before he had children, does it still say the son?
There's another room here.
A whole nother room.
Yeah, because it's not crazy enough.
I've never seen a garden like this. So in the wintertime, when it's a little depressing and cold, you can come into this garden here and just be transported into the tropics. I can't describe
Or an Indiana Jones movie.
to enough the intricacy of all the thought that went into the specific plants here, the design of the water, the lily pads. It's really something else, and it's hard to put a price on this. And at the very end here, there's a platform. Oh, wow, look at this. With an aerial view top down of the garden. This is unreal.
This is my favorite area so far.
We're actually spending the night at the castle. I wouldn't say it's scary.
It's terrifying.
It's a little scary. Our room
I would be scared shitless staying over here. It's just too much. Too much.
didn't have a light, and they actually bought up a floor lamp just because it was so dark in here. All right, it's now the next morning. Not the best sleep of my life, but not the worst. I'm looking for some coffee.
Day 2 at the chateau. Dressed back up, had my coffee. Staying overnight here, it's really giving us the experience of what it would be like to actually own this. And even with the weather changes, we've got a bit more moody feel today, overcast. But I'm excited. Let's get into it and start the tour off. We've seen the Indian Palace. We've seen the greenhouse, all 45 acres of the garden. Are you ready to see inside the chateau? Let's check this out. So right in the entry, we have the royal foyer here with all this stone on the ground, the columns. The home was built in 1651 and took 10 years to complete. It has 40 bedrooms, 5 living rooms, 2 dining rooms. The square footage, they don't even know. And we're only actually touring 1/4 of this castle. This side over here is private. The owner lives on this side, so we're touring, I guess you could call it the public side, but it's still pretty crazy. Let's start heading up the stairs.
So it has a foyer and it's kind of shaped in a, plaza. Like, you go to Madrid, Plaza Mayor, you got the square shape, and you're going to have all these different wings of the house, north, east, west, south, and then different corners. And it's going to be a guaranteed layout of room to room to room and hallways and connecting. The benefit, you're going to get natural light from both sides of the room. You have 2 different views to the outside, to the inner courtyard. Now, the inner courtyard is not really dressed up, but I can imagine these properties were, designed in a way where the inner courtyard would also be for entertaining and events and public affairs. And again, most of these homes were owned by significant royals, and they had royal duties and royal events that they would do inside the courtyard, which would give it functionality. But again, I don't see that, the internal courtyard, as a real necessity nowadays, because what are you going to do in there? You already have 300 acres, or I don't know what the acreage is on this property.
Off of the foyer, look at this stairwell, like triple width stairwell here. Look at this stonework, the wrought iron railings, statement stairwell if I have ever seen one. So onto the second floor here, we're going to head off to my right. And I want to also point out the artifacts. I'm not going to actually touch this because it took 30 years to collect all the art in here. And again, I want to mention the art is worth north of $1 million. Off of the stairwell, welcome to the formal dining room reception area. This is where the king would greet his guests. It's also where they would feast. You notice all the silverware. I want to point out again, everything in here is authentic. For example, these 4 vases here were gifted to Napoleon by the King of Sweden, and they're here in this house. As we go out throughout the home, we'll point out a few more.
So look at the volume. Again, same thing I told you. There are hallways that connect, and then you get these grand rooms, great scale, natural light coming from both sides. These rooms are going to be lit. But the main problem is to go to the second room, you have to go through the dining room. It would be a concern for today's living.
More artifacts. But this is the entertaining room for when your guests arrive to the chateau. You've got views there to the south, the north of the courtyard, Juliet balconies. The ceilings are about 30 feet high or 10 meters, and you can just see this.
I don't think that's 30 feet. 10 meters? I'll put it at like 6 meters, 20 feet. That does not look like 10 meters to me.
Scale this room. It is massive. Now from the dining room, we've got your parlor or your great room here. And this is decorated in typical 17th century French decor. Again, everything you see in here is authentic. For example, this is a portrait of Marie Antoinette Young. And then on the other side of Marie Antoinette Old, this over here is actually the wheelchair of Marie Antoinette's son. His actual wheelchair. He had a disability, and this is what he used to get around. And that's actually a painting of him right above here.
If you think that was creepy, just wait.
I want to also point out that the typical French living room in the 17th century was decorated like this, where it's the opposite of minimalism. Every piece of the wall is covered in art, the furniture from the formal living room. We've got the pool hall, and this is an original pool table from Louis XIV. His doctor actually prescribed that after he ate to play pool to help with his indigestion. And this is his original table here, just chilling in the chateau. Then at the end here, again, this typically is closed off because this is actually where the owner of the chateau is living full time. So unfortunately, we can't tour that. If we look behind me, you can really see the entire length of this chateau here. And
look, you could film, again, any, Downton Abbey from Napoleon series, any French or Italian or European royal story. This structure is perfect for a movie location again. And it's completely different than the greenhouse, the Indian palace. It's just, you have so many different options to film so many different type of movies in this property. It's really excellent. I've never seen anything like this.
Again, let's walk and talk. They actually don't even know the square meters or the square feet of this castle. So formal living room, back into your dining room. And again, we don't know the actual square footage of the chateau.
Eric, you already screwed up with the land square footage and acreage in hectares. I wouldn't have trusted you with the square footage of the house if you would have even said it.
I would guess anywhere from 60 to 80,000 square feet. Off of the formal dining room, we're back to the main stairwell area. And this is the ballroom in the chateau. If you look up all the artwork on the ceiling, you have beautiful crown molding. This is all gold leafed. Every single detail in here. Again, over 30 years it took to design everything out to be as if you were in 17th century France here. I really want to point out the level of detail on the gold.
These type of moldings is not really in almost in anywhere in the world, and people would never pay the price for it. But if you were to recreate this, like the replacement cost, it's funny when you think about, like, let's say insurance value, right? When you want to insure a property like this, the market would only pay maybe slightly above land value because it's just a lot of things are not practical. Again, take all the art out, but just the structure itself is like most smart, savvy buyers would never pay much more than the land value for a property like this because it's just not practical. But let's just talk about value in the eye of the owner. When you're insuring a property, if you go with market value, you got maybe a 200 million, 300 million market value. But if you go with replacement costs, I wouldn't be surprised if it's $1 billion actually. The labor cost for the recreation of a property of this magnitude with these details is astronomical. And it would take not 10 years when they built this property. It would take maybe 20, 30 years. There is a little bit of truth when they say, he's throwing out that $1 billion. Maybe the replacement cost, but the market value is significantly lower than this. And talking about insurance cost, I can't imagine how high the insurance cost for the arts would be to store it in this place, because this is an old building. And this fire detector over here reminds me that I don't even know if you can insure your art in a building like this, because it's an old building, and if it catches fire, it's all gone. And not just the building, but all the arts as well. So it's a very tricky place to store art.
Gold leafing here, it's on the walls, the ceilings, and even if you look up, you have this artwork on the ceiling here with the angels, the chandeliers. These are all crystal chandeliers here. Out of the ballroom here, we're now entering the home office, the study. Again, look at the ceiling here. You've got beautiful artwork on the ceiling, the gold leafing throughout. And again, the entire wall space is covered with original art from the French Revolution. So from the office, we have a little hallway, which connects us to the king's chambers. So this is where the king of the chateau slept, right here. For instance, as far as the artifacts, these two boxes on either side are from Imperial Japan. That's original silver there with the artwork on those boxes here. Over top, crystal chandelier. fireplace. Again, just look at the gold leafing detail here on every single wall. Super impressive. Leaving the king's bedroom, back on through his private hallway, into the study room, right off of here. This is pretty wild. Welcome to your double height ceilinged library here in the chateau. Take a look at this. There's over 20,000 rare books in here. You've got catwalks surrounding the library on the second floor, open to the floor down below. 20,000 historical books in here. And at either end of the library, there's 2 mummies. This is an actual human body.
Dude, that's not cool. It doesn't matter it was 1,000 years ago. You can't show dead humans as part of the decor of your house. I mean, animals themselves make me cringe when you put, tiger heads and, freaking animal heads on the wall. But this person had a kid. He had a family. What are you doing? It's just so out of place. It needs to be in a museum.
Mummified from Egypt.
Look at this guy. Look at him. Look at him in his eyes. Look at it in his eyes. Can you go to bed tonight? Shame on you, Jacques.
In this house in France. That is wild. I even saw voodoo dolls at that end. And these look like spell books, so... There's no words for this. That's why it's truly like, you can't put a price on this. And with that said, we don't actually know the true value of this estate. We can only guess. There's also hidden doors throughout the entire home. And these are only the ones that we've been shown. I'm sure there's a lot more. Check out what's behind here. This is the game room where we have...
Holy moly. Have you heard this saying? You got skeleton in your closet? This guy's really got skeleton in his closet right here.
An ostrich skeleton, turtles on the walls, a panther. We haven't even gone up here yet, and I'm curious. Let's check out what's up here. The whole wall is lined with tortoise shells. We're now going up into one of the towers of the chateau. And now we're just... Oh, there's no lights in there. I'm not going in there. Come on, let's check it out. Got some pheasants. What the heck? This is actually crazy. Could you imagine? Look at this. Could you imagine if this was your bedroom? And to get to your bedroom, you had to walk through the game room, through the secret passageway in the library. Again, there's 40 bedrooms in this house. This is one of 40. You saw the king's room. Check out the bathroom. A tub fit for royalty with a view of the gardens here. All right, let's head out of this bathroom. And it's tough because we can't really show you every single bedroom. Like, this is the blueprint of the castle here on the wall. You can just see how large it is. I honestly think it's probably more than 60 to 80,000 square feet. I'm thinking closer to 100,000.
He already changed his number.
Because there's rooms that I'm sure we will not even see or have access to. So up this stairwell, there's another wing where there's more bedrooms. But we're going to head back down, past all these dead beetles and turtle shells. I want to point out also, like, it's kind of jarring to see all this. It's a bit antiquated having dead animals on your wall like this, but I guess back in the day, in the 17th century, this was the norm. All right, finally back downstairs. There's just so much here. Oh, we're locked. Yeah, we're locked. We have to go back the other way. All right, we made our way back down. We're now at the lower level of the library. So if you look up, you can see the wraparound balcony and just the height of...
This wraparound balcony is very old school, very European. It's like, it's really showing the scale of your library and how much you love reading. And, so it's common. There's actually one house in Los Angeles that looks kind of similar to this property in a much smaller scale. And it has this wraparound double balcony.
The ceiling in here. And again, these are all books from the mainly 18th and 19th century. Lots again of French Revolution pieces. Now out of the library, there's a back hallway which connects the front hallway here, which we're going to go to right now, where we left off upstairs when we were locked up there in the dead zoo, I guess you could call this. Not going to show too much of this, but maybe just a little.
Oh my God, there's an alligator hanging from the roof upside down. This is insane.
Quick shot down this hallway to get the perspective of the dead zoo.
You know, A Night in the Museum, another movie you can shoot over here.
Pretty gnarly. For perspective, we were up there and this was locked. So if we continue on, there's a little room here. I'm not even sure what this is for, but this is the chapel in the chateau. This is a proper church that just happens to be in the chateau. Again, you got the double height ceilings here. You've got the altar, all these religious relics in here. And I'm not going to begin to even try to explain any of this just because I really don't even know. And I feel like most people here don't know because there's just so much. There's so many artifacts from all over the world. And just, I don't really have much to say about this part. It's really intense. The dead zoo, animals from all over the world mounted in this hallway. Comment down below what you think of this. It's pretty intense. But now we're back to the main foyer right there. And what's down this door is actually pretty crazy. So we're now going subterranean in the chateau. And as you come down here, instantly it's like 5 to 10 degrees cooler than upstairs. And this is where the kitchen is in the chateau, because back in the day, kitchens weren't something that you would show off. The kitchen was below the home where you would store the firewood. You've got the pans here. They even have those subterranean windows so you can let in light. And if you peek in here, this is traditionally what it would be like and where the staff would be living, because it is the warmest part of the house. So the beds are in the kitchen here. And I was told that the biggest cause of fire in these chateaus was here in the kitchen. So that's why someone would be sleeping here at all times in case things went crazy.
I'm telling you, this is a very dangerous place to store your art. I don't know if insurance companies will even insure you in these conditions. They'll be like, this is like you're asking for a fire.
But this is set up in the way it would be in 1650. And then if we continue on, the ceiling gets a little lower. There's another area over here where you would be butchering your meat. You have all the quail hanging, a boar for dinner. Going even further back, getting even colder. This is the wine storage here, an actual wine cellar. And at the very end, this is pretty crazy. This is where you would store your fruit from the summer. So you would harvest all your apples in the fall, bring them down here for the winter.
This guy legit lives here. Look, he actually has apples there. Like, this Jacques guy is insane. I can't imagine living in this property. He's actually using it.
And they would stay preserved just because the temperatures are so cool. And then even in this room, there's a fireplace to heat the place. And then there's actually another stairwell at the back of the kitchen, which leads us up. And instantly it gets warmer. It's pretty incredible how the subterranean kitchen actually cools the food. And now we're back where we were by the chapel and the dead zoo. For reference, we're back in the foyer. That's the front door. This is the back door, which leads into the chateau courtyard, which is super impressive, especially from the view of the drone, seeing how large this courtyard is in comparison to a human or even had.
Okay, this courtyard, it reminds me of Plaza Mayor in Madrid. But listen, the ideal buyer for this property is a company. Disney, Apple TV, any production company, MGM that makes movies could purchase this property and use it as a movie location.
The car pulling up earlier, and here you get the true perspective of the chateau. So behind me, that's where we're sleeping. That's actually for rent, so you can actually rent those rooms out and stay here. There's a restaurant off to the left here.
So wait a minute, they are renting it. I thought they're asking your help to rent this property. So they're already using it for bed and breakfast, and it has a restaurant to, do it. I think by far the best use of this property, the best buyer for this property should be a movie production company. I don't even think it would pencil to hold this property and start renting out even all the 40 rooms continuously at the same time, which I don't think you would be able to do. I don't think it would pencil. I don't think it would generate enough income. But a movie studio could definitely purchase this property and hold it and shoot movies in it, and it would definitely pencil. But if you want to see something very different than this house, click on this video This house in Dubai is listed for $135 million, and it's a track home. You should check it out. I'll see you guys in the comments. Thank you for watching.